Elon Musk. Let's be honest. You know the name, you definitely know the companies. But what's really going on behind the headlines and the constant controversies? Well, it's one of the most concentrated empires of tech and money in modern history. So today, we're going to break down exactly how that empire got built.
Let's just start with a number. And honestly, it's a number that's kind of hard to wrap your head around. $844 billion. dollars. As of early 2024, that was the estimated value of the whole Musk empire. To put that in perspective, his companies combined are worth more than the entire economy of a lot of countries.
And here's the thing. This isn't just about being number one on the rich list. His wealth is kind of broken away from the usual rules of the market. It's created this self-sustaining financial world that some people are now calling the Muskonomy.
So that leads to the big question, right? How did this happen? How does one guy end up building a modern empire of cars, rockets, satellites, and AI all at the same time?
All right, so where did all this begin? Well, the story doesn't start with rockets or fancy electric cars. Nope. We've got to go back to the 90s, right in the middle of the first dot-com boom. This is where he laid the groundwork for everything that came next.
Just look at how fast this all happened. In '95, he and his brother start Zip2. It's basically an online city guide. Just 4 years later, boom, Compaq buys it for over $300 million. He immediately takes that money and starts an online bank called X.com. That company then merges with a rival and rebrands to something you've probably heard of, PayPal. And then comes the big one in 2002. eBay buys PayPal. And that sale changed everything.
So, what did Musk personally walk away with? Over $175 million. Now, for most people, that's the end of the story, right? You retire. But for him, this wasn't the finish line. It was just the seed money for ambitions that were, well, literally out of this world.
So he's got all this cash, right? And what does he do? He doesn't play it safe and buy index funds. No, he goes all in on two incredibly difficult, super expensive industries: private spaceflight and electric cars. And these would become the two giant pillars of his empire.
And you really get a sense of the stakes with this quote from back in 2012. I mean, think about it. When he started SpaceX in 2002, the idea of a private company sending a rocket to the International Space Station sounded like science fiction. His first 3 launches literally blew up, nearly bankrupting him. This wasn't just another business for him. It was an absolute all-or-nothing gamble.
So how on earth did they pull it off? Well, it all comes down to one core innovation: reusability. Before SpaceX, you'd build this incredibly expensive rocket, launch it once, and then splash. It's gone, at the bottom of the ocean. What the Falcon 9 does is, well, it comes back. The main part of the rocket literally flies back to Earth and lands itself so it can be used again. That one change completely rewrote the rules for how much it costs to get to space.
And then, of course, there's the other pillar, Tesla. And you can't really talk about Tesla without talking about the drama. This infamous tweet from 2018, which, by the way, got him a $20 million fine from the SEC, just goes to show you that Tesla has always been more than a car company. It's been a platform for his huge public personality, and yeah, a constant source of chaos for the markets. But if you look at the official mission, you start to see the method here. It's not just to sell cars. It's framed as this massive, world-changing quest. And that vision, man, that's a powerful tool for getting talented people, big investors, and super loyal customers who feel like they're part of something bigger. Okay, so fast forward to more recent times. Musk's focus seems to have shifted from building things you can touch, like cars and rockets, to controlling the digital space, specifically what some people call the global town square. And this turned out to be his most controversial move by far. The whole thing was, messy and dramatic, but at the end of the day, he bought Twitter for a whopping $43 billion and took it private. And the changes came fast and furious. We're talking massive layoffs, a total overhaul of their content policies, and then, poof, the little blue bird was gone, replaced by X, signaling that the platform was going in a totally new direction. So, what's been the fallout? Well, if you look at the data from third-party researchers like Sensor Tower, the numbers are pretty stark. In the US, daily active users dropped by 18% in just the first year after he took over. That's a huge drop. But, and this is a really big but, Musk himself paints a totally different picture.
He claims that tons of new people are signing up every single day, and this just shows you the huge gap between how the company sees itself and how outside observers see it. It's a constant battle over the real story.
And this fight over the narrative has even spilled into the courts. According to the Knight First Amendment Institute, X has sued organizations like Media Matters that have published critical research. Now, X claims these reports are designed to hurt their business. The critics, on the other hand, say these lawsuits are really a tactic to scare off and silence watchdog groups.
So you have visionary engineering, incredible financial success, and intense, nonstop controversy all wrapped up in one person. It's a lot, right? How do you even begin to make sense of it all? Let's actually look at an academic framework to try and understand the method behind the man. A 2024 analysis of Musk's management style actually puts a name to it: transformational leadership. Basically, it's not just about telling people what to do, it's about fundamentally changing a group's entire mindset and motivation by selling them on a really compelling big picture vision. And this research breaks his style down into 4 main parts. First, inspirational motivation, setting crazy goals like colonizing Mars. Second, intellectual stimulation, telling your team to forget the old rules and think differently. Third is individualized consideration. He's famously hands-on and direct. And finally, adaptive leadership, being willing to pivot super fast and learn from failure. And you can see how this style gets results, right? It's how you get breakthroughs, but it's probably also how you end up with some of the controversies we've been talking about. Which really brings us full circle. Is he a visionary architect building our future, or is he a deeply polarizing force? As his integrated empire of cars and rockets and AI just keeps expanding, what the ultimate legacy of the Muskonomy will be? Well, that remains one of the most important and unanswered questions of our time.